This is S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to S4, where we talk about the real shit involving paranormal and current events. Coming to you live from the S4 headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains of Washington State. We also cover topics such as disaster and terrorist response and preparation. You can also hear our pre-recorded shows on KSVU 90.1 FM Saturdays from 10 to 12. So tonight, it is actually 2020. Wait, 2020. January 4th. Already, and we have a special guest for our topic tonight, Nikki Jacobs from UFO Team and a psychic. Tonight we'll discuss what makes someone a psychic, what are the types of psychics from clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and do we think anyone can be a psychic or only special people? And are there frauds out there? So tonight with us we have Cole Wegleitner and Kayla Wegleitner, Don Davidson, our California consultant and Army veteran, and Nikki Jacobs. So how are we all doing tonight?
Good.
I'm doing wonderful.
Awesome. So we're just going to jump right into it. Now, before we start, I'm a little pissed off, and it does have to do with the topic tonight because I know Nikki's had premonitions that she'll go into a little bit to whatever she's comfortable with. But I'm going to say right from the get-go, and this is going to piss a lot of people off. I really don't give a damn. We've been having issues with Iran since the 70s. Many folks don't understand that, but, you know, Jimmy Carter with the Iran-Contra affair, we go right into, I know Reagan had issues with Iran, and I'm sorry, and y'all know I hate Trump, but this is not all on Trump. We should have handled Iran in 04, 05, 06, when they were threatening our troops in Iraq. Should have been done right there. I don't remember, Don, were we in Telefar when Iran started acting up, or was I in Balad?
I want to say it was kind of probably when you were in Balad, because I'm not sure I heard anything about Iran while I was over there.
I remember Iran was acting like fools when we were in and threatening to actually come into Iraq in one of my tours. I just don't remember which one specifically. I think it was Blood. But, you know, we had how many hundreds of thousands of troops on the ground. And I'm not an advocate of fucking with Iran to begin with because, one, they've got nukes. They have a nuclear program. And they have China and Russia in their back pocket. And we've stabbed most of our allies in the back. So...
Just saying.
What?
Russia's also in Trump's back pocket, too. They're reaching in there pretty hard.
Yeah, but how much money do they get from Iran? They get more support from Iran than they do Trump. Just saying. They got more to lose. So now we have, Israel... just itching to get all the Arab nations together to go after Iran. And who are we going to jump in bed with? Naturally, Israel. Folks, I'm going to remind you last week, and I'm not, and don't take this the wrong way, Nikki, at all. I looked for evidence. I've never been a follower of Nostradamus. And last week was the first time we actually had, Nostradamus predictions on this show. And last week, Nostradamus, predictions for 2020 said World War III was coming. Happy New Year, Tim. Glad you're in the chat. And Robert, I haven't seen you in a long time. So right from the start, Nikki, what's your thoughts on this whole Iran bullshit?
That's exactly it. It's bullshit, in my opinion. But, regarding psychic information, for the last, I think it's been close to 25 years now, I have been having a premonition, and back in the day when I first started receiving, I was trying to figure out what I was receiving because I was seeing buildings explode. I was seeing people injured. It was like a mass download, and it took me.
Was that potentially 9/11 though?
No.
Okay.
Were you able to tell what type of area it was with the buildings?
Nope. And that's unusual because since then I can determine, okay, there was I predicted a explosion of some type in a specific colored looking building. I didn't know exactly where it was located. I didn't know what country it was even in. I knew that it was going to be an accident. I could describe the building to the T.
So was the building?
I knew nobody was going to get hurt. 2 weeks later, there was an explosion at a dormitory in, I believe it was Las Vegas. I'd have to go back through my notes again, but yeah, that one actually kind of freaked me out. And it was during a time when no students were on, like, there was something going on. I don't remember if it was a holiday or what was taking place, but during that time frame, students weren't staying at their home base in the dormitories at the time because of some holiday. Yeah, that one kind of threw me for a bit. But I've since learned to be able to start searching for certain types of buildings. Had another one, before that premonition, I had another premonition where I knew it was a certain type of building, which led me to a certain type of country that had those buildings, that specific type of building. And about 4 or 5 days later, I missed the exact building by 2 buildings over. But it was the city, I got the city, I got the country. And I'm like, I can't believe I'm even, it was like it was unreal to me. Because I've had premonitions come true before, but when I'm starting to get many of them, I start to get a little freaked out because I'm like, what is going on with you guys?
So do your premonitions come in black and white, or do they come in color?
Typically, they're in color. I have had a couple of black and white ones. And to be honest, I do not remember them very much because it was in the late 90s. A lot of the ones that were in the late 90s, I didn't write them down.
Well, when are you getting
I do
one?
now. I write all of them down now.
Is it foggy or is it a clear picture in your mind?
Depends on how I receive it. Typically, they are. Okay, this is going to sound weird, but they hit me between the eyes.
So third eye.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing is how I receive. I receive via my gut, and it's more than just gut instinct. It's the weirdest way to explain this, but it's like I get this psychic hit. It hits my stomach first, and that's why I call it a hit, because it like punches you in the stomach. I've gotten used to this now, to where it's not as jarring, as shocking, unless it's about children. That's a different subject with me. But and so I receive it in my gut, and then it hits my head. So like a fraction of a second later, the image will hit my head. And when they happen, when those specific ones happen, if I'm walking, I usually stop literally dead in my tracks. In the process of taking a step, man, nope, not taking a step.
Right.
Because I don't know what comes next. Sometimes it could be I'm getting information from spirit or spirit guide, or just more images. That's always interesting.
So have you figured out the difference between a black and white image and a color image, or does it come with progression of your development, or do you know?
Okay, when I received black and white, what I remember from the feeling of it was that it was too traumatic.
Okay.
And it was gory, and I couldn't handle the gore. And what my brain does is, if I can't handle the gore, then it automatically shuts everything off, into all the color off, and turns it into black and white.
Okay.
I didn't even know that was possible.
No.
It's like, I don't have a clue as to how the brain does that, but it does for me.
Well, it's like closing a door to trauma in your brain. But
Yeah.
what I was wondering, too, is if the black and white are in the past and the color in the future.
I haven't had... okay. When I was speaking with a rather famous individual, and she told me basically who killed her, she showed me in word images, if that makes sense. It didn't hit me in images first. It hit me in words, and a fraction of a second in pictures. How I see things are like a what do you call it? Negatives on a film. Like a 35 mil. No.
Like the negative strip.
Yeah, but in color and not negative. So.
Huh. Okay. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
And the reason I asked too is when I had my. I've talked about this on the show before, but when I walked into, I guess it was a time warp or time lapse, whatever, in Germany, my buddy and I, both of our vision switched to black and white, and we had our image in the past, and it was, we were walking down an alley in Germany, and in front of us was the Ratskeller, and the Ratskeller is like the American equivalent to, I guess, the political building, the Chamber of Commerce type building. Back then it would have been like your political headquarters. But this is back in the 90s, so it was now a restaurant. It wasn't used as any kind of government building. But as we're walking down this alley, both of our vision at the same time, we didn't know it at the moment, but we saw in black and white. And we saw a 1920s limousine with the Nazi flag on one side, the German flag on the other. Hitler and his entourage walked out of the building and walked to the car. They looked at us, but they didn't look shocked, so I don't know if they saw us as just German, civilians walking down the street, if they saw us as U.S. soldiers in civilian clothes walking down the street. They didn't look shocked. They just kind of looked up, and they went back to what they were doing. We took a left, went up the street. Our vision went back to normal. We were back in our normal time. and we were silent for about 5 minutes, and he stopped, he looked at me, and said, "Did you see something weird back there?" They're like, "Holy shit, you saw the same thing?" What was your vision like? He goes, "My vision went to black and white, and I saw Hitler walk out of the fucking building." Like, holy shit. We either walk through a time warp, a dimensional shift. I have no idea. I can't explain it, and I'm not going to try to explain it because I have no clue.
I'm wondering if you hit a very specific hotspot that because you guys are receptive.
Right.
That's what I would be guessing before I would be guessing of a portal. But then again, after the last few months, it's very possible it could have been a portal. Walk in and right back out.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you got very lucky.
Exactly. That's why it could be because we just hit a receptive energy shift, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm about as blocked as they come, so I don't see that. But but you never know. I have no clue. I just know that was an exciting event, to say the least, because, I mean, I've lost touch with him. I'd love to get in touch back with him. I can't remember his actual name because I called him AJ. He was a cook. And I only knew him for a few short months, and I went off to Fort Lewis. But it'd be great to get him on the show, and we can collaborate on the show about that event. So,
that would be good.
What is your definition, before we get to you, of what a psychic is?
Honey, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, a psychic can have a multitude of different, well, I know somebody who doesn't like the word abilities, different gifts. And that could be premonitions. It could be... there's a wide variety of things that go with it. I mean, pick one. I mean, there's numerous people classify it very specifically. I'm not one of those people. I'm one of those people where I believe all of us humans have the ability to have psychic gifts. I think it's a section of our brain that we are not using enough. And I think some of us have gone through enough lifetimes where it just becomes automatic for us.
Right.
But a psychic is one who has premonitions. They typically are empathic. They sense things. They can walk into a room and sense a spirit there, or sense the wrong kind of energy, supposedly, depending upon your view of energy.
It depends on your religion. It depends on your religious belief too. Oh my God, you're seeing a demon. A demon's talking to you. No, it's probably just a spirit guide or a spirit, but
yeah,
that gets so annoying. So when I think of a psychic, I get excited because I think of Rose Red, because they actually go into a lot more about the clairs.
Yes.
Clairsentient, clairaudient, clairvoyant. I know I'm missing one because I think there's 4 of them. Is there not?
No, there's 8.
Oh, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So could you go into the 8 for us?
There's clairvoyance, which is considered clear seeing, which is like the premonitions, clearly seeing imagery, basically. Claircognizance, which is clear knowing. Clairaudience, which is clear hearing.
So real quick, what is clear knowing?
For me, clear knowing is you know damn well it's the truth. Okay. Every bit of what you're receiving is the truth. It's not somebody's version of it. It's it's like fact. At least that's how I perceive it.
Okay.
I know other people perceive that differently and describe it differently. To me, it's something that is fact-based, and you know it. You don't know how you know it, and it's not information you've already previously had. It's something that you know to be true. And if you go to look it up, then and you find out that it's true, it's like, oh, hello.
Okay, so clear knowing, and then there's clairaudient.
Clairaudience. Clairaudience is clear hearing. I've got all 8 clairs.
Oh, good God. That's good.
Yeah.
So that's got to be confusing. So I know with some of them, they touch an item and they can get an image out of it.
Okay, that's clairsentience.
Right. Okay. Because
That's,
again, I go to Rose Red because Rose Red I thought was great. One, it was based in Seattle. It's actually in Thornwood.
Okay.
But
Wait a minute. Clairtangency is clear touching. Sorry.
oh, okay.
I have it written in front of me because I never can. I mean, you know.
I'm just saying, I do that with the Magic 8 Ball.
You shake it and it says yes or no.
And
Or
it works
box.
1 out of 6 times.
Right. So what are the other ones? There's
Okay.
clairtangent, which is touching, which is what they did in Rose Red. Again, I know I keep bringing that up, but that's where they touched the doorknob, and all of a sudden they got an image of what was going on inside.
Yep. I had that when I was at. My grandfather had passed, and it was something like 2 years later. I was in the house, and I had inherited the house, and 2 years later, I was downstairs removing a brass door hinge. Why it was brass, I do not know, but it was. And the second it fell into my hands, I had my hands all over that thing when I was removing the screws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. But the second it fell into my hand, and the screw fell onto the floor, and I nearly dropped the screwdriver, I had an image. Well, I had a full psychic vision is what I had, of my grandfather. No way in hell could I have even begun to imagine how my grandfather took care of remodeling that basement that I was in. Not a clue how he. I mean, I know from construction. I know that way. I know my grandfather was really specific. He was a master plumber. I grew up in that industry, but I had images. It was like a movie in my head. It happened in a fraction of a second, but it felt to me like minutes had gone by, like many, many minutes had gone by. And I'm seeing him walking around in the living room. I happened to be in the hallway at that given moment in time. He was walking around in the living room. He had obviously been talking to somebody at the other end of the kitchen, because the kitchen and the living room kind of melded into one big room. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to somebody I couldn't see. I was hearing him. I could smell him. It was almost like a grandpa hug. It was the strangest thing. But for some reason, he wanted me to know. And I think that when he was working on the building of the remodel in the basement, that he had so much of his energy into it that this is just one of those things he wanted me to see. I think there was energy buildup in that brass hinge. That's what I think. But,
And
why, I don't...
No, that actually makes sense. Because That's what a psychic does, is basically reads energy, whether it's from a spirit or spirit guide or energy that's trapped in a building or object or, things of that nature.
Yeah. I think of those as frequencies.
Right.
Energy, frequencies, yeah.
So when you could see and feel your grandfather, you said he was talking to someone. You couldn't see who he was talking to? It was just like a one channel to your one individual?
Yeah, it was, and I didn't hear them. I know that they were talking back to him. It was a conversation. But my view was, in the vision, was directly from the doorway, which would have put the kitchen. There was a wall before the kitchen had a huge opening into the living room, and actually, I take it back. It was like I was standing where the wall should have been. Like about 3 feet to the left of the doorway, where the wall actually was built, is where I was standing in this vision. But either way, I wouldn't, because the wall was already there towards the kitchen to my right, and so I couldn't have seen who he was talking to. So they must have been at the very, very end of the kitchen. But yeah, he was talking to somebody. He was laughing and joking. He was being a smartass. And they were talking something about the plans to what they wanted to do with the house. And I went, wow, new input. Never knew that.
Hey, so when you see...
I had to go sit down afterwards. It's okay.
When you see visions, do you see more past or future?
Yeah, that's a very good question. The last few years, I've seen more future. Depends on who I'm talking to, too. If I start talking with somebody, I may not... Okay, there's a terminology with psychics. On demand. I am not on demand psychic, where somebody like a friend of mine who's very on demand could take phone call. If you had incoming phone calls and they wanted me to do readings for them, the caller, I wouldn't be able to do that on the spot. But I've got a number of friends, but one specific friend who's extremely good at it. And it's just automatic. I have that ability, but it's not the on-demand stuff. It takes a little bit. Prime example of that is I was talking to my mom's roommate and totally did not expect anybody to come through. And I went, oh, we've got a family member here. And she went, what? I said, I'm sorry. There's a family member of yours here, because that's what it felt like to me. And then about 20 minutes later, the person started coming, a totally different person started coming through that was also family to this lady. And I was just like, wow, okay. And then all sorts of readings started happening. I was like, doesn't happen like that all the time,
So, have you ever had anyone pissed off at you for that? I mean, you're talking to someone random on the phone and not expecting a reading or nothing like that, but all of a sudden you have, an open channel and someone's talking.
No, I've had people pissed at me before for, certain, like if I'm walking by somebody in a store, something will pop into my head and there's no way in hell I could have known what that information was. And I'm like, there are times I will keep my mouth shut because it's not my business. unless there is a very specific message they are to receive. And it's like the spirit is like very urgent about it. I've had that happen before. And the person on the receiving end, I've had a couple of times where they're like giving me the look of, what the heck are you talking about, lady?
Right.
And I don't do that very often. Typically I'll smile at the person, or a lot of times, this is going to sound really odd, but a lot of times if I see something on somebody, like a piece of jewelry or hair done, if it's like a guy and hair is done a specific way, or he's got a tattoo or something, I can feel in my gut and in my heart, which is just bizarre to me, that I am supposed to say something to them about whatever specific it is that I notice. And I'm like, wow, okay. That's just part of how I am anyway. But when it hits me in the gut and it hits my heart a fraction of a second later, it's not like a heart pain. I just don't know how to describe that feeling. Never been able to describe that feeling. I know automatically that that's the person that I'm supposed to be, and typically, whatever it is that I'm supposed to compliment them on or comment on, pops out at me visually. I mean, it's like in my face, behind my eyes, in my head, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so
it's either I'd say it's either the spirit talking, or it's the energy emanating off the piece of jewelry or whatever the individual has.
Tattoo, or the tattoo, or even the person's hair, or a blouse if it's a woman, or shoes if it's a guy, something.
Right. Now, what if they got the shoes? And this would be a weird experience, but what if they got the shoes from a garage sale and it's not even their shoes? And you're getting a reading off the energy from those shoes, but it's not meant for that person.
I've never had that happen with clothing or shoes of that nature.
Right.
I have had it with somebody's jewelry. I've had it with somebody's piece of furniture. Oh God, that's interesting. Somebody's piece of furniture. I'll walk up and touch a piece of furniture, and I'm like, do you have somebody that you know somebody? Then I'll start describing the person. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, or like if it's a piece of wood, like solid wood, where like a table or a desk, or like a child's desk or a woman's 1920s vanity, I touch something like that, I get hit city like crazy. It gets really intense sometimes, because I'll start having visions of everything that was on the dresser, on the vanity, or if it's like a dining room table, then it's like imagery of things that I know that, if I'm in somebody's house, they're not this specific person's dishware or patterns, plate patterns, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it feels very different. The energy feels very different than my friend, and I'll start asking, did you get a new table? Or, if I notice it ahead of time, oh, you got a new table? Oh, that's pretty cool. What, where'd you get it? Or something like that. And sometimes it's a secondhand shop, and they've redone the table, and I see the table in its original form before my friend even got it. Right. That's a whole one. And it had been refinished before they had gotten it. That's always a trip.
Yeah, because you're getting 3 different fields of frequency, basically.
Exactly. So it makes life real interesting trying to, divide and conquer, basically.
Right.
Which one's stronger? Which one are we going to? So, yeah. Or I'll see a family around it, but I won't see faces. I'll see bodies. That's another weird one.
So...
Okay,
people that are experiencing psychic ability and really don't know what they're experiencing and don't know how to develop that, what would you say to someone that wants help developing that ability?
Okay. There's a couple of things that I would do. A few things, actually. One of them is start changing the way you think. Self-talk. From negative comments you give yourself to change them to positive comments. And I specifically mean not the kind of comments where it's a positive and then you put a negative at the end. It has to be a full positive. Cut all negative out. And be consistent with that. The other one is, the basic one is start meditating. Find a meditation technique that works for you and you alone. Find a person's voice that does the kind of meditation you want. So say you find a meditation, but you don't like the person's voice because it's grating on your ears for whatever.
You can't get into the zone, basically.
Yeah, basically. So, now you know the technique, but now you got to find a person with the right kind of voice that fits or that suits you and your energy.
Right.
And start working on that. The more you quiet your mind and start listening, okay, how do I say this? Start listening. It's like starting to listen to energy. I don't know how else to explain that. It's more than just listening to the sounds around you. If you can quiet your mind and deliberately eliminate and force all the sound that's going on around you out of your head, and then focus on how deep of a level you can get yourself into in your meditation, you should be able to start hearing nature. And I don't mean the birds and the flap of the wings and all of that. I'm talking plants. If you get into it really deep enough, and it takes some time, effort, and energy to do that, you'll actually start feeling the vibrations of plants around you. You'll start being able to feel the frequency that trees are at.
So have you ever been able to communicate with dryads?
I didn't hear the last word.
Dryads, the spirit of the tree.
Yes. Started when I was, how old was I? 19. Didn't even know what it was. I was like, how is that possible? I actually thought I had moved. I had sat down at Green Lake in Seattle and I'd been going for a walk. It was my birthday, and I sat down a few minutes before the actual time of my birth, and I wanted to meditate. And I went, okay, so I'm going to cross my legs and sit literally by the edge of the lake, kind of sequester. I found a spot where nobody was around. I mean, you still heard people walking by and you still heard traffic and stuff. I'd been meditating for years prior to that, but I sat down and I thought, well, this is what I'm going to do for my birthday. And this is what I do every year for my birthday ever since. I sit outside. Doesn't matter if there's snow on the ground. I layer up. And I try to sit with my legs crossed and get into a meditative state where I eliminate all the noise that's outside. And believe me, in the afternoon, when I was born, or during that time frame when I was born, there's a lot of traffic outside.
And it's hard to tune that out.
Yeah, it's very hard to tune that out. But after doing it for so many years, I can tune out all sound, and then I get really deep. Really, really deep. And I can actually, oh, this is going to sound so nuts. I can communicate with nature. I can communicate with the plants that are in containers on my deck. I can. It's one of the most beautiful energies. There's some really cool energies I've experienced, but this is my all-time favorite. It's either one or two. I still haven't figured it out. After all these years, you would think I would know this by now, but something recently happened to me in the last year and a quarter, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, that's up there now. That's in competition with nature now. But yeah, I can actually commune with, it's probably not the most appropriate word because it leaves all sorts of connotations to the mind when you use the word commune. But I can communicate with the trees and the plants around me. And I can tell you, by the time I get done with my meditation, and I do a lot more things than just that in that specific meditation on my birthday, I can then, when I get up from that meditation and I kind of cleanse my energy afterwards, if that makes sense,
Oh, yeah.
I can then tell you exactly what trees are in need of water because they've told me. I can then tell you what plants are in need of water that there's no way in heck I could even know. Mm-hmm. They're not showing signs or symptoms of it. And the interesting thing is that when I have my eyes closed, I'm not out of body, I'm not in astral, but I can see everything around me, including animals that try to come up to me, or birds, or hummingbirds are my favorite when they come up to me during my birthday. Hummingbirds and dragonflies.
Those are fey.
I love that. It's just because you can hear, it's like when they are fluttering their wings, if it's a hummingbird, because they're so fast, it's like it slows down in my ears and I can actually hear each wing going down. I don't know how else to say that. When it brings its wings down and then comes back up, it's a different sound when they go down and a very different sound when they come back up. Mm-hmm. But that sound significantly slow-mo's, big time. And when a dragonfly, you have that buzz that they make.
Oh, yeah.
But it's that also slows down. I don't know. I have no idea how to describe it other than it does the slow-mo thing as well. And typically I feel like, even though I'm sitting down cross-legged, I feel like I'm standing upright. But I am not. I've done astral travel before. I'm not out of my body in any way, shape, or form, and I'm not in astral. And I'm certainly not dissociative. So it's just really wild and trippy and awesome all at once.
So, yeah, I'm trying to. So I've got all these questions floating through my head to ask you, and they all come and go. So for a beginner, I would say start slow. Go with the basic meditation first. Figure out what works, and then
Yes.
delve deeper.
Yes. And work on that. Be consistent with it. It basically boils down to how bad do you want to do it? Because if you're not going to be consistent with it, why do it?
Exactly.
There's a lot more to it than just saying why do it, but
Right.
it really boils down to how bad do you really want to do this and learn this. I know somebody who wanted to astral and had gone all the way to I was going to say Victoria, that's not what I mean. Oh, good grief, Nikki. Washington, D.C. I just can't think of the name of the Monroe Institute.
Okay.
Had gone to the Monroe Institute, had even years later gone to the institute that's up at Vancouver Island. And both of those teach in very specific ways about astral and a plethora of psychic abilities and all sorts of, well, I suppose what you would classify as, or not you per se, but the general public would classify as paranormal. And he recently, I've known him for like, what, a year and a half, I think?
Mm-hmm.
A year and a half. And he just recently achieved his goal. And he's been at it for years. So whatever blockage is blocked, whatever the plug was unplugged for him. And he achieved it. But he'd been trying for different years. The other side to that is, with everything in life, everything is about timing. Mm-hmm. And his thing could have been, it was a timing issue. It also could have been he wasn't ready yet to release.
Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. He probably wasn't ready for what was coming.
Yeah, and he's extremely excited now.
Oh yeah,
and I'm very happy for him to be able to do that, because it's a big deal. So yeah, you just slowly work on it. If you can't do it every day, start out doing it once a week. Then build yourself up to twice a week, and eventually you'll build yourself up. If you create a pattern and make it a priority in your life, as with anything, you will achieve your goal.
So with meditation, because I mean, we live in a society today that, and I'm not bringing up politics, but I would say but we live in a society that if you meditate, you're evil. If you do yoga, you're evil, and that comes a lot from our president's spiritual advisor. But she's a quack anyway. Oh, you give me half your paycheck and God's going to bless you. No, it doesn't work that way. But
It doesn't.
Paula White, there we go. That's her name. And she encourages people. Oh, don't let your kids do yoga or meditate because they're inviting in the devil. And that's where you need to go. That's where you need to go to meditate and to actually advance yourself.
That's utter hogwash.
For our listeners, if you give me half your paycheck, I'll bless you.
Oh, no. There is I think it was on Dave's site, actually. There is a psychic that convinced this woman that she was possessed, and then convinced her to give this client to give her $35,000 to exorcise the demon out of her. And we're gonna get to that. We're gonna talk about fraudulent psychics here probably in the second hour. But
that's a pet peeve of mine.
oh, mine too. It falls into the paranormal field in general. And you said earlier, just a few minutes ago, about psychics and those in the psychic field. Some classify them as paranormal, and really they are, because paranormal is anything outside the normal realm. And
yep.
So there we go. A medium. Is a medium a psychic?
Oh,
we have all these we have all these labels for people. I'm a medium, but then you have some that say I'm a psychic medium. What's the difference?
Okay, a medium is somebody who specifically hears from spirit. They're receiving information from the other side in a specific way to them, because not everybody receives mediumship information the same way. Everybody receives it differently. It's unique to that individual. Just like being a psychic is. Okay, so the two are very different. You are, as a medium, you are communicating with a deceased person on what I call the other side.
Okay.
I know there is another term for that people who were, scientific field and all this crap. Sorry, it's not crap. It's just I get really frustrated with it. That they classified it as. And it's mediumship is just very different. You're not just communicating with the deceased person. You could be receiving the images that they present to you, that they want you to see, but you're also talking to them. You can talk to them audibly, or you can talk to them in your head. Just depends on how. Oh, good grief! It just depends on. Sorry, that was my phone. Okay. It just depends on how the person receives. Oh, good grief, mighty, go away. Sorry. So, yeah, it's psychic is like what we were talking about earlier. You have the different frequencies, the different energies. You can you're receiving premonitions. Typically, if you're a medium, you're not receiving premonitions unless you're communicating directly with a spirit, somebody who's passed on, and they are projecting into your mind what will happen. Okay? That's different than being psychic. It's very different, because you are
what's a psychic medium? Is that one that combines being a medium and a psychic?
Oh, yes. Very much so. Oh, yes. And that's what I am. Yeah, so, you get everything.
So we're going to jump into the fraudulent side here in the second hour, but it seems people like labels, and the label comes with self-importance sometimes, and that's where the problem comes in.
Yep. Agreed.
Can I ask you a question about your gut feelings?
Go for it. Ask me anything you want.
All right. When it's something that's directly related to you, are those stronger?
Well, that's a very good question. Sometimes they can be, not always, but sometimes they can be. Like recently, a friend of mine died last year in January, and I was the first one he came to. And about a week ago, I didn't sense him in my home. Typically, I know when I've got, I was going to say ghosties. That's what I nickname spirit. I just, sometimes I get fed up with saying the word spirit and I call them ghosties.
Yeah.
Just because, but yet ghost is different than spirit. Grand scheme of things, that's another subject. Anyway, and I didn't recognize, I've always got spirit around me. I've always got spirits around me. Remind me to tell you what it's like for when I go to sleep.
That's going to come up anyway because I have a question about that.
Okay, good. And so I didn't register that anyone was around me. I mean, that somebody I knew. My dad is always around me. He's my spirit. He's one of my spirit guides, but he's the main one. And my friend that had passed last year in January, unexpectedly gave me a song, and I knew it, and that's another way I receive, as I receive what I call spirit song messages. SSM is what I call them when I shorthand them. And I knew it was from him because it was a very specific song. And basically, and it was a love song. I went, what the hell am I being? What are you doing? And as soon as I saw the lyrics, I got hit, and I mean hard hits in my gut, not my head, in my gut, on specific words. And basically, he was choosing specific words out of that song to let me know that, one, he was going to stand by me, and two, that he was encouraging me. And this specific song, and it had nothing to do with, like romantic love. He was specifically choosing this song because of how things were phrased in the song. Mm-hmm. And he could basically, it's like punch in the gut.
Right.
Well, it's not a punch, but this time it was intense. And I was like, whoa, and instant tears, because I knew exactly what he was doing. I couldn't verbally express it at the time, but I knew exactly what he was doing. And I went, oh my God. And basically the message is that I love you, kiddo. I'm going to stand here and be here for you when you're going through, and all this psychic stuff is basically what it was coming across as. And you got support, and it's coming from all of us. And I went, whoa. And it was overwhelming. But yeah, it just was. It's not always like that. If it's a message, it's not always like that.
We'll get to that more when we come back. We have to take a break. It's the top of the hour here, and you're listening to S4. We have Nikki Jacobs, UFOY team, and a psychic on the show tonight. And stay tuned for more.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hey S4ians, please check out one of our newest sponsors, Wiser Books. They're an imprint of Red Wheel Wiser. They publish books across the entire spectrum of occult and esoteric subjects. Their mission is to publish quality books that will make a difference in people's lives without advocating any one particular path or field of study. They value the integrity, originality, and depth of knowledge of their authors. Please check them out at redwheelwiser.com.
We've had several days of 80-degree plus weather here in Concrete, Washington. My family's favorite way to keep cool in this heat is to stop by Java Zone 2 and grab a delicious iced latte for me and a blended mocha for my husband. Our son just loves their creamy milkshakes, and our daughter can't get enough of their ice cream. The best part is, Java Zone 2 is conveniently located just off Highway 20 beside Loggers Landing. And I'm proud to shop local for a business that has been a staple of the Concrete and Upriver community since it opened its doors in 2010. So if you're looking for a way to keep cool in this summer heat, come check out Java Zone 2. They're fast, friendly, and local.
All of us here at S4 and Forest Moon Paranormal would like to thank everyone who attended and supported our 2019 Paracon. It was an amazing event that we couldn't put on without our sponsors, our speakers, and our volunteers. Be sure to keep an eye on our Facebook group, Forest Moon Paranormal, for all your updates on Paracon 2020, September 26th, 2020. Thank you again to everyone.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830. Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. Go check out our store. Get your S4 gear at the website, www.s-4radio.com, and our YouTube channel where all the older archives are from the last, let's see, 3.5 years ago. Anyway, back to the show. We got Nikki Jacobs on tonight from UFOI team, and she is a psychic, so we're doing everything psychic tonight. Trip made it. Hey. Always great seeing Trip in the chat room. Have an active chat room tonight. It's because of Nikki. Everyone came because of Nikki. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so we're talking about when, and I'll bring this up first. It's interesting. The first time I tried meditating for years and nothing worked. I couldn't still my mind at all. Having PTSD now, it's even harder. But the first time I actually successfully meditated, the only thing that worked was Native American drum and flute. And Morrigan actually came to me. And that's where I actually first met Morrigan. That was exactly 2003. And she came to me and said, I am your deity. I am your goddess. You're going to Iraq and you will be fine.
Wow.
And, yeah. And I was like, awesome. No, that's fucking awesome.
Well, sit down, man.
It's interesting. So, Morrigan is the Celtic goddess of war, death, and rebirth. Very awesome deity for soldiers to work with. And obviously, why she would come to me. She'd been with me my entire life. I know that for a fact. But what's interesting is we're in Doha, Kuwait. And I'll tell you a couple stories real quick here. But it was really cool. There's like 5 of us soldiers that are pagan. And we're about to do a 3-day convoy from Doha, Kuwait into Balad, Iraq. And I'd already done 2 combat tours. I'd already been in Somalia and Desert Storm, so this is just, okay, we're back in the sand again. No big deal. But we've got a lot of terrified privates that have never been deployed before. So we go out, and there's like 5 of us, and we light candles, and we do a small protective ritual over the convoy. Get done.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Your cat wants to jump in. And we went back. I went back to my tent. I went to sleep, and I get woken up. Sergeant Cooper, oh my God, you got to see this. Like, okay, what's going on? I get up, I look out the window, and there's like over 1 million dragonflies. Literally. All heading towards Iraq. Everyone. Like they were in command. Like they were actually, in a formation kind of thing. And one of them stopped and looked me in the eye and joined the crowd and went off to Iraq. So I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. We're going to be fine. And we did this, 3-day convoy. So we stopped at one rest area. And so for civilians, when I say rest area, it was a enclosed, kind of like a small rest point, but guarded, heavily guarded, sandbagged, whatnot. It's a small base, had a small PX and whatnot. And we slept on top of our trucks. And like at 2 o'clock in the morning, midnight, whatever, we hear, gunfire in the far distance, explosions, whatnot. It's a war zone. It's to be expected. Slept just fine. Carried on the next day. Got to Blood. Set up my altar for Morrigan. And we had, we didn't lose any of our soldiers. It was an eventful year on that side of it. So we had our pagan group that year. We met every night. We're getting ready to go home. I pack up Morrigan's altar. And one of the other E5s is sitting at this table. We're all packed up. All of our stuff's in the Connex and whatnot. And it was weird. But we had a 10-foot maintenance door. And it was a clear, no wind, and that door slammed. And this other NCO, he's a Christian, open-minded though. And he looked at me and he said, "What the hell was that, Sergeant Cooper?" I'm like, well, I just packed up Morrigan's altar and, she's left the building. And he said, "Oh my God." Yeah. And about 5 minutes after that, we both hear this real loud drip. He's like, "Sergeant Cooper, this building hasn't leaked in a year. Why is it leaking now?" Like I told you, Morrigan's left the building. It's time for us to go home. So, yeah, I don't meditate. I need to. I should. But again, it's hard for me to meditate anymore. And again, Native American drum and flute music is the only real thing that calms my mind enough to meditate. So, Don.
Yeah, what's up?
Did you meditate in Iraq?
I tried to as much as I could, but most of my guys would kind of mess with me, or they're just too loud, and I couldn't concentrate in it. So it was kind of hard to do so.
No, you had a lot more missions and whatnot outside the wire, so you probably didn't have a whole lot of time to. So I get, I can get that. And PBR. I'm sorry, but S4 is not going to be on more than once a week. I can't do that.
Yeah.
So again, I need to announce that yes, starting February, the first Sunday of February.
Sunday.
S4 is moving to Sundays from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. We are staying at a 3-hour show, but we are going to move earlier, and Sundays work best. So we are moving to Sundays in February from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. One, it's going to make it much easier for y'all to listen. And two, it's going to make it easier for us to get some of the speakers on that we wanted to have, or guests on that we wanted to have. That 11 to 2 is just too late for them. So hopefully we'll be able to get some new guests on at an earlier time. So, sorry PBR, but no, I can't do this more than once a week. So yeah, Sundays of February, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, Nikki.
Yes.
Do you find it easier as a medium, as a psychic rather, to channel or be able to communicate while you're sleeping or while you're awake?
Oh, that's a loaded question. Very loaded.
And let me add to that. So you have some people that they dream in black and white or they dream in vivid color. Are those them entering other people's dreams, or are they channels of communication? What's your thoughts on that?
I just recently met somebody. Well, not met somebody. Somebody I've known. It's just the first time they've ever said anything out loud about it, that they dream all in black and white. I honestly don't know why that is. Not a clue. I do know that it's how, when we dream, it's how our mind is processing the day or the week or whatever stress we're under. And it's very possible that folks who only dream in black and white don't want to, I was going to say see reality. I don't know where that came from. That was not what I was thinking.
Somebody
like,
broke through that in your mind.
Yeah. So it's like the way I would think of it as they don't want to have to deal with anything else regarding stress. And it's very possible that that's why they don't want to see color. If they want to see color and they're dreaming in black and white, I might be wanting to see a neurologist to see what's going on with the old brain, just to be on the safe side.
Exactly.
Because it's possible there's a medical condition that could be causing it. But if somebody is completely healthy, they've, had their brain checked with an MRI or some other form of medical look-see, which I know there's CAT scans and MRIs. There's also a number of other things. But anyway, then I would assume, and it's just an assumption,
right,
that it's stress. They don't want to have other things going on to deal with, and it's easier to deal in black and white.
Do you think movies? Do you think watching movies influences that before they go to sleep?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh, that could be a huge triggering point. Movies, music, you're talking frequencies with, at the end of a movie, songs are played, typically.
Right.
Well, that's a frequency. Depends on if it's an upbeat or a low beat. Tempo, you've got the kind of instruments that are being played. All of that can take effect on the brain just before bed. Personally, I don't recommend going to bed immediately after a movie, simply because of the dreams it could trigger, and because of what the music can do to the brain. And Tripp is saying, just like playing video games. Yeah, no kidding.
Exactly.
Just where I was headed, Tripp.
You're sitting there playing Call of Duty before you go to sleep, and you're dreaming about combat. I'm sorry, I don't play video games too often, so my combat dreams, they're not from video games. And I don't watch horror movies either. They're just, yeah.
So, honestly, I've had, to go back to the black and white dream, I have only had one black and white dream. It was given to me by a rather famous paranormal investigator who passed this past year. And he was trying to give me information. And I also knew that with the kind of dream it was extremely graphic, extremely gory. I don't typically have dreams that are of this nature in whatsoever. Nope. And before I went to bed, I was listening, if I remember correctly, I was listening to instrumental music because I'd had a really big day that day, and I was like, I need to come down a bit. Mm-hmm. I need to drop the psychic energy a bit, and I need to meditate. And I found that I couldn't meditate, but I could relax. And I could relax with music. So, but I was absolutely stunned when this person is standing before me in my dream as a younger person. Same voice as before they passed. And I didn't know who, I mean, I knew the name, I knew the voice, but I had never seen a picture of him. And when I woke up, I was like, who the hell was that? And I was trying to figure it out, and it actually took me a couple of days, but it was information that he had, and I got to be careful with what I say here because there's a couple of people I need to contact, and I haven't contacted them yet because this person kept files galore. And just saying that, could probably easily tell who it was.
Yeah.
But there's a specific item that he wants. I can't say that either. Okay, there's a specific item he wants. And he wants it to go to a specific person, and I haven't figured out who that person is or how they're related to the situation, so right. It was real clear. But everything was in black and white, and it's the first ever dream I've ever had in black and white. And it was solely because it was extremely graphic. And there would have been a lot of blood.
So I always encourage people to keep dream journals. Based on their dreams, based on their dream activity. And I always tell people put the date, the time, description of the dream, pictures if they can, and the weather. Do you see the weather outside being an influence on your dreams?
On occasion, but not often, not very often at all. For me, I would say it would be rare. For people in general, I can see it causing some rain if it's raining outside or if it's really windy. I could see that being a trigger in the dream.
Something I noticed about my dreams, because I dream in black and white and I dream in color, and it's pretty often in both, is anything that's in the past, far enough in the past that the way that we see it on TV and in pictures is black and white. It's black and white in my dreams.
Interesting. I wish I had a psychic hit to give you more information. I don't at the moment.
Now let's talk alien abduction for a second. Do you think alien abduction has anything to do with psychics? Do psychics influence alien abduction at all?
A year and a quarter ago, I would have said no.
Right?
After what... I'm trying to figure out how to say this. After what I've learned this year, excuse me, something caught in my throat. Definitely, I very much think that.
Okay.
I don't think every abductee, for lack of a better word,
right,
is going to be psychic, but I think many of them are. And I think it's triggered. What I know when it comes to fear and trauma resulting from extreme fear, something that our minds, they can't conceive of. Fear triggers and I call it a chemical reaction in the brain. I don't know what else to call it. Right. It does more than just trigger the dopamine, serotonin levels in the brain. It triggers other things, and I think that somehow whatever that item is, or that series of items, I think when those get triggered, I think that it opens up a section of our brains that, especially if a person is very young when they're taken, that it can definitely open the mind up further to psychic experiences, or being more empathic, or more of a medium.
So the fear chemical will be endorphins. So do you think it's the endorphins that are triggered due to a fearful event are triggering that?
Yeah, it would have to be something. Yeah, I do. I think it would have to be something that would be beyond our comprehension. So terrifying, beyond anything that we could conceive of. And I'm not, this is different than how I see it regarding war and vet. It's very different. This goes into, because it's so, because that's a whole different form of PTSD. I think this goes into what goes beyond the fear factor.
Right.
It's like being afraid for your mortal soul type of situation. Mm-hmm. not your. I don't know quite how to say this.
This would be more like a spiritual fear.
Yeah,
Or a
you're
soul,
not only afraid
soul
for your
fear.
body, but you're afraid for every minute detail aspect of your life in tremendous quantities. Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people say that they communicate through thought, right? Like different ET races and stuff like that. Do you think it's because it's coming into your mind versus just something physical that it's actually causing that to be worse and that to open channels that weren't open before?
I heard you, I understood you, but I don't know how to answer that question. Can you rephrase it? That might do it.
Whoa. I could try.
Read it again.
We communicate telepathically. Do you think
Yeah.
that the invasion of the brain is what's causing it to be more of a fear factor and to open communication lines that weren't necessarily open before?
I got it. Yeah, I think that that's part of it. But I think the fear factor. I think it goes beyond conception, beyond what we can literally conceive of. Most people can't conceive of telepathy. It's very real. I'm also telepathic. Always makes things interesting at times, because I have a very strong belief in, and you don't do that. You don't deliberately access somebody's mind. That's severe invasion of privacy, and I'm very staunch on that. So yeah, I think that. Yes.
Okay. Are you still there?
Did that help?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, kind of.
All right. So, what do you think?
Questions about aliens?
Say again?
Do you have other questions regarding aliens?
So,
Yeah, I have tons.
What do you think about hybrids? So, there's I won't say it's a new phenomenon. It's not new. It's probably happened in the last 10 years. But when the gray hybrid program was going on back in the 90s, women were abducted. They held the fetus for 2 months. They were re-abducted. The fetus was taken out, kept on the ship. Now, as of the last 5-10 years, the women are abducted, they're implanted, they're brought back down, they're allowed to give hybrid childbirth on Earth. So, with that, do you think the hybrids are more psychic than normal?
Yes. Well, okay, that's opinion. I don't have any psychic hits on it. This is solely my opinion. Yes, I do. Based on what I know, yeah, I do.
Okay. And I agree fully. There's one case that I know of specifically, obviously no names or whatnot, but the woman did give birth. They know the child, she's not really a child, but they know this child is a hybrid. She does not know she's a hybrid, but she is already exhibiting signs of being psychic. Which is why I asked, because I kind of figured. Also, do you think teenagers develop their psychic abilities before younger kids?
Do I think teenagers before they're teenagers, you mean?
No. So, do you think teenagers start developing their psychic abilities naturally at that age, or do you think it's a younger, not toddler, but oh God, how do you say it? A younger child, say between the ages of 7 and 12.
Yeah. 1 second.
I guess basically, do you think puberty would have anything to do with? There we go. Do you think puberty's got anything to do with developing psychic ability?
I think it can with some people, with some kids, yeah. With others, I think they're born with it.
Okay.
I've been repeatedly told that. Excuse me. I've been repeatedly told that I've been born with mine by other psychics.
And does that carry on from past lives?
Yes.
Okay. So go into that a little bit if you could.
Past lives?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I'm an old soul, which means an old soul is somebody who's had numerous past lives. We're talking more than 80. Excuse me. And past lives, okay. How deep into this do you want to go?
As deep as you want to.
Okay. So you die. Your soul, your energy, goes in, and after you go through the process, being dead and learning all this stuff you're supposed to learn and all this info, you go in with a specific group of people. Lack of better terminology, I have no idea what to call them, with other souls who do this. And you write up a new soul contract, however long that takes.
Okay, real quick, and this is a great question, and it goes right along with it. So Joe's got a question. Is it possible you were psychic in a past life, but you abused your psychic ability, so in this life you're blocked?
Yes.
How would you abuse your psychic ability?
So I'll answer that. So today, you charge $150 a minute. You give a prediction you're not supposed to give, something like that. I would say is a fraudulent use of your psychic ability.
Miss Cleo's gonna be a slug.
Oh yeah. So Sylvia Brown. And I'm going to clarify this for our listeners. Sylvia Brown, bless her heart. I think the turning point for me with Sylvia Brown was when she told some parents that their children were dead. Their children have been abducted. And they stopped looking for their children because, well, Sylvia Brown said they're dead. Come to find out, these children have been abducted and were locked in a basement, chained up for years. They managed to escape. And oh my God, you're alive. Well, Sylvia Brown said, well, yeah, there you go. Again, fraudulent abuse of psychic ability.
Yeah, because she had psychic ability.
Are we sure?
But
not in the next life.
Not. Well, she
In the
did have
next life,
psychic.
she gets a salt shaker.
Say again?
So,
Move on from
how
her.
do we know Sylvia Brown had psychic ability?
Say that again.
How did we know Sylvia Brown had psychic ability?
There were things that she was predicting that was accurate. Don't ask me what they are right now. I just remember following to check, and things that came up accurate I remember writing down at some point in my life. I have no idea where that list is at, but exact word about it. That's how I know. But I also knew she was wrong on certain things.
Okay, so let's start talking about fraudulent. And that, because I just opened up that door.
Yep.
and Joe's in the chat room. He says, we know that Sylvia Brown had psychic abilities because she said so. So, for a listener that's not familiar with psychic abilities, how do you know? You here in Skagit County, we actually had a fortune teller that was scamming people out of thousands. I mean, to the point that they actually they're in prison now. But how can someone tell if a psychic is valid or not?
Test them.
How do you test someone?
Yeah, because that's pretty broad. Like, we
more fine tuning on that one. Find out. Well, first of all, find out how they how they say they receive information, and then start asking them questions that you know for a fact is true, not lead in questions.
Right.
Really piss me off. Fraudulent ones really piss me off. Sorry. Yeah. So start testing them in things that you know are facts about you and your family.
Right,
ask
but
them
wouldn't that not work? Because like you said, it only comes... It isn't on demand for everybody. Right?
Yep. You have to find out how they work and how they operate. And ask them point blank, are you on demand? Are you an on-demand psychic? Or are you somebody like me where it takes a little bit? Or, you got to find a right series of questions that you will know and only you will know.
So not something you could find on the internet, obviously.
Exactly. things that.
Okay, so like basically you'd ask them something like, "What was my favorite stuffed animal when I was 5?"
You want to find. Yeah, you can start with that. Some people are going to be able to do it, some aren't. And the fraudulent ones, they're, the other thing I would do is if you're in front of somebody, stone cold face. Do not show any emotion. Blank face. No inflection in your face whatsoever.
Right.
You receive an answer. That's hard to do for a lot of people. But another one is find something in a relationship that is in your past that has facts in it that only you knew about, like, say, a conversation between you and your dad, for example. I'm using this as an example. And your dad had, I don't know, specific kind of watch. But he never wore it on his wrist. He always had it on him, but he never wore it on his wrist. Ask either where your dad's watch is or where a piece of jewelry, a family member's piece of jewelry is, because it can't be located. I mean, well, that's lying, but you want to find something that's going to work in that plausible scenario and, see if they come up with
Nikki,
a right answer. What?
Is there a reason you use that particular example?
Oh, God. No, I specifically chose Dad. Well, okay, I got a tightness in my stomach. I don't get tightness in my stomach. It popped in my head. I got a tightness in my stomach, and I went, oh, crap. So add and watch. Those two specific things were, and I'm like, oh, that's going to hit somebody. I can feel it.
So,
Ah!
Kayla's dad is not able to wear wristwatches. Before smartphone came out, he kept a wristwatch on him at all times, but he couldn't wear it. It wouldn't fit around his wrist.
Oh my god. Okay, see, things like that even amaze me. Alright.
Oh.
That's awesome.
Oh my god. Well, that just proved things.
And I know for a fact, you've never met Kayla's dad.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
I've only met you guys once.
Yeah, you only met us once, and that was at Paracon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which her dad doesn't come to this kind of stuff because...
My dad doesn't go anywhere.
Well, he's scared crapless out of it. Oh, wait, I can say shitless. Yay. I'm creating more work for Irma, but hey.
Somebody's being a smartass. Alright. I could give you a couple of predictions, PBR, but you're not going to like them. Anyway, that's beside the point. So test the psychic. Test them to find something that's going to be a little on the difficult side, and it's something that's not going to be a generalized question, just like you guys had said, something that you cannot look up on the internet. That's why I was thinking like a conversation you and somebody had that only maybe you and one other you know about, or you and one other person know about. Man, I knew I shouldn't have ignored that. Okay. No, it was just the tightness in the gut, and I ignored it.
I'm going to tell you, like I tell everybody else, you always listen to your gut.
I know, and I've been trying to ignore things lately, and it's just simply because of the amount of stress that I've been under, and I'm like, you know better than doing that, woman. It causes problems.
I've been doing that for years, and
so we're going to get to Nikki.
I'm a lot bigger now.
How long have you been... I know you said you were born with it, but when did you start recognizing that you had abilities?
Oh, I've been thinking about that the last couple of weeks. When the heck did I really recognize it? Very good question. To be honest, my answer is probably going to change each time somebody's going to ask me this, because of the fact that, okay, number one, I have a photographic memory, an eidetic memory. How I deal with my memories is if it's minutia, it gets put into a filing cabinet and put away in the far back recesses of my mind.
Okay, what's a minutia?
Things that don't matter. Things that are the daily grind of the day or of the night, and that they really think, like washing dishes or ironing or working out in the yard day in, day out. It's just things that are
mundane activities.
Yes, and it doesn't really matter, in the grand scheme of things. And so most people categorize memories as their, oh God, I just had the word in my head and it went right out. Brain fart. Okay. They categorize their memories as...
Real quick, PBR did have a question. What is a on-demand psychic? And you answered that earlier in the show, but I don't think PBR was actually in yet. So on-demand psychic, I know, is someone that can actually communicate with spirits on demand. Whereas some psychics, it takes longer. Correct?
Yep.
That's the in
Correct.
a nutshell answer.
That's the fastest nutshell one.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But so people typically with their memories, they hold on to like main events, things that are important. Not every conversation they're going to hold in their memory banks. I've got all of it, and it's like, really? So, so I was, in the last couple of weeks, I was thinking about this very question, and every time I thought about it, I went, oh, wait a minute. So I was 11 when this and this occurred, and then a couple days later, I went, no, it was younger than that. And then I'd start going, oh my God, I was younger than that too. So, I didn't understand stuff. I 9, 10, 11, somewhere in that range. I think that should be my pat answer for that question, simply because there are different memories that I've got, and yeah, 9, 10, 11. I'm going to have to stick to that.
And when did you start accepting who you were and working with it?
I started working with it when I was about 15, 16.
Okay.
Started meditating when I was about somewhere between 16 and 17. 16, I think I was. I was 16 because I think that's started doing the meditation, and meditation went into astral. So by the time I was 17, I was doing astral.
Okay. And when did the predictions start hitting?
Oh, honey, I've had predictions on all my life. I just didn't understand them.
Okay.
The ones... Okay. I might have a hard time with this one, but it needs to be said. I started having not predictions, images of lost children when I was, 19 or 20. So if a missing persons poster came up, whether it was an adult or a child, I was back then to tell you if the person was alive or dead, if the person deliberately ran away and why they were staying away, like domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
The children one started hitting me when I was really big time hitting me when I was 21, 22. We're talking hardcore hitting me. It got to the point to where by the time I was in my late 30s that I avoided the signs because I couldn't handle the information. And if the news came on, oh my God, and they had a missing child, even if it was cross country, did me in.
Yeah. Well, that takes a lot of energy out of you, especially for empaths.
Yeah. There's
I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Yeah.
I can still do it now, but it's not like it's a transformation of my gifts. And I'm using that specific word because I know one person is listening who really doesn't like the word abilities. So, anyway, so yeah, my gifts, they ebb and flow and they change over time. I've still got the abilities to find missing people. Oh man, I can't believe I said that out loud. And on public radio.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You know what? They don't listen anyway. I speak from experience. You can identify where the missing person is, and there's absolutely nothing you can do with it because nobody wants to hear it. Nobody believes you anyway. And
I found just last year. That's a sore subject. Cops who will, excuse me, not cops, detectives who will not work with psychics.
Nope.
I am here to tell you they are missing the boat on that big freaking time. Big
absolutely,
time.
Absolutely. And if they do find him, then you get blamed for being part of it.
Yep. or you become a suspect.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay, but you gotta say, in their defense, though, with how many fake psychics are out there and people like that one case that say that, they were dead the whole time, you don't necessarily want to bring that into an investigation.
No,
yeah, and I understand that, but there are those that are real, and that's what is that they won't even take a chance. So, there's an ongoing.
I know exactly. I know exactly where you're coming from, to the T. And I know to the T how valid psychics can be when it comes to finding the missing people. The only problem is with the missing 401 cases where it is a paranormal event. You're not going to find them.
No, you're not.
But the common abduction or the homicide, it works hands down. As long as you can validate and test your psychic and know they're valid, But no, because when we ran our team, we did missing persons cases for about 2 years, and we actually took a break and just did paranormal cases, and then we went back to missing people for about a year and a half after that, because I know it works. But again, when you get to the point where no one's going to listen anyway, the family gets mad, we don't want the family involved, and when we originally started doing missing persons cases, it was with a nameless volunteer. And the agreement was the team would take the case, the team would work the case, but there was no family involvement. Well, the minute that rule changed is the minute I said, no, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. And, we pissed off the nameless volunteer, and she started bad-mouthing the team. And I called her out and said, look, you violated the regulations that we had in place. Family members do not be involved. And we cut ties. I hear your frustration. I feel it. And, when you're in that line of work, you have to ground yourself. You have to separate that energy, that pain from your day-to-day life, or you'll crumble.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one on the news that did me in. It was of an infant, 3-day-old infant. I received psychic visions of what happened, and I hadn't even heard the sound. They just had the image up on the screen. And it was a father who had basically killed his 3-day-old infant son, And I saw it through his eyes in living detail. And it was the very first time I ever experienced that. And to this day, I'm still pissed about that. Because that was, not only did it traumatize me, because I saw where he buried the infant, how he did it, what he realized he did, and where he buried the infant, and how the infant was buried. And I basically went into the fetal position. Well, I didn't basically, I did. I went into the fetal position and basically went in, stopped breathing moment. I don't know how else to explain that. And
right.
I've had other experiences since then that are pretty traumatic when I have visions, but nothing comes close to that. And that one will always, it doesn't just upset me, it pisses me off, and it also makes me want to throttle the person.
Oh, hands down. Hands down.
Yeah. And it's like, just because you couldn't handle a baby crying. And I'm just like, okay, I'm a mom. You don't screw with me when it comes with kids. Nope. And so I go into protection mode with kids, and so it just did me in. And excuse me, last year when I went to report a vision that I had about a missing woman,
right.
The detective at the time, who was willing to talk to me, wrote down all the information that I gave him, and they went looking it up, and there were things that were not publicly talked about with that infant.
Mm-hmm.
And I gave information, and so now my information is in the police system, probably as a fruitcake, because the next officer, after they found the woman was deceased, I was treated like shit. Yeah. And I'm like, you know what? I don't have to tell you. I'm doing this because I feel it's my job to tell you this, because it could help a family. And they need closure. And so does this person who died.
Well, and that's the main thing is the closure, whether, when...
Yeah.
If they don't know they're still alive, or if they've, been taken by a serial killer, homicide, whatever, they still need that closure. Anyway, it is time for our last break of the show. So when we come back, we'll talk about some premonitions. We'll talk about science in psychics and some other topics.
And we'll try and help Joe find his ring.
And we'll try to help Joe find his ring. It's not under the bed.
You dork.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Prevails. There are things that go bump in the night. I never speak about that. And we are the ones who bump back.
with your host, Eric Cooper.
Helps if I turn the mic back on. We love our Crypt Amnesia here on S4. We're going to have them on the show here soon. I keep saying that, but yeah.
I will have a new song for you guys next week,
Hold on. They're a hard band to get on the show because they work full-time jobs as well as play their music. You're good.
I'll have a new song for you guys on there next week from them.
Excellent. And yeah, we're going to have them right here in Cole's living room soon.
Dude.
And they're going to bring... they're going to bring their instruments and they are going to play a live concert.
Do you see that look my wife is giving me?
I know it.
Dude.
Maybe that won't happen, but, well, we can wish. And if you go to Patreon, I won't go there. Oh, yeah, I'm getting myself in trouble here. Anyway, welcome back to S4. Go check out the store at www.s-4radio.com to get your S4 gear and our YouTube channel for all of our way old shows. So we're here with Nikki Jacobs. We're talking all things psychic. What makes a psychic? Are all psychics real? No, we know they're not. So, ghost boxes, spirit boxes, are they valid? What do you think, Nikki? So I see psychics working on a frequency. I think the same frequency can come through technology. But what would you say are the pros and cons
Of ghost box?
Yeah, between actually going to a real psychic.
Well, from my experience, and there's a person that I work with periodically, and I love what he does with his abilities with ghost box sessions. Mm-hmm. Because not everybody is able to receive what he is. I think it can be twofold. In one way, it can be good. You'll get, you may not get the answer you're looking for. You may end up hearing from somebody that you didn't expect. And the problem with the ghost boxes are that a lot of spirits come through. Sometimes very little will come through at all, and other times you will receive a plethora of people who will come through. When I was at your guys' Paracon, Force Moon Paracon in September.
Right.
There was a person who had done ghost box sessions.
Yeah,
and
Bill Hauser.
It was asked of the ghost box how many ghosts were there in the room at that very minute. At one point, I had heard in the ghost box session there were 50. The number jumped. I don't have it in front of me right now, but although I could get it, the number jumped from like 30-something, 50-something. I'm looking for it right now. I think it was the last. Yeah. Okay. I want to be accurate here, but I remember 30-something and I remember 50-something. Oh my God. Okay. 35, 25, 35, and then it jumped. 25, 35. Where the heck is the other number that I wrote down? Oh, good God. 219.
No wonder it was so crowded in there.
I told you we'd get 400.
You had some spirits there.
Right. We have more spirits than living humans. What the hell? No wonder we went broke. So Joe has a question. Theoretically, wouldn't a ghost box work just as good if you just put it on a single blank channel instead of scanning hundreds of frequencies?
Oh, I am not an expert on those ghost boxes. Bill Hauser is an expert on those ghost boxes.
I can answer that one.
Okay.
Because I talked to him about it. Okay. So different spirits are on different frequencies. They vibrate at different frequencies. So having it go through them will catch different ones.
That makes perfect sense to me. Because I knew that they're on different frequencies. And it's because of their energy level.
Think of it too. So the movie White Noise, it came out long before they even were talking about spirit boxes. Because back when White Noise came out, the movie that is, people were using digital recorders and things of that nature, which I think are just as effective, to be honest with you. If a spirit wants to talk to you, it's going to talk to you regardless of what device you've got.
Wow. Yeah, if a spirit wants to come through, they're going to come through. They'll figure out a way to do it.
Whether it's signs and omens. I think signs and omens from, 1800s, 1700s, I think they were accurate. They called them signs and omens, but couldn't that be the possibility of, spirits trying to show them things back then?
Yep.
Before technology came?
I think so.
So are we saying that it's not really the box, it's the person that's operating the box?
And I think Bill's actually said that before too. It's not just the technology, but it's who's using that technology.
And it's the spirit.
Right.
It depends on how much energy they've got to be able to put forth.
I don't know. I don't know enough about spirits. I don't like those guys. They freak me out.
So since we're on this topic, let's talk about science, because there's too many. To me, there's too many. There's too many paranormal groups out there that claim to be doing it in the name of science, and they're really not. They're playing with EMF meters and they're playing with toys, and they're calling it science. And then you've got the same ones that are just playing with toys, saying all psychics are fake. You can't use a psychic on a paranormal investigation. Well, bullshit. I think it depends on the psychic. It depends on, again, not everybody is psychic. They have the ability to develop those skills, but you have to vet your psychic. You have to prove their skills before you just pull them onto a team.
And you have to know how much protection they are able to do.
Exactly. But
I want to say that Kayla had just said something too. Before I forget it, I want to say something about what Kayla had just said, that spirits freak her out. When a person dies, they retain that specific personality. Okay? So even though they have had numerous past lives and have redone a soul contract, and they've obviously died and they're now in spirit energy form, they retain that personality that they had when they're on the other side. I don't know if that's helpful to you or not, Kayla, but that might be something to think about when you think of spirits. So, like, if it's family, excuse me. Oh, good grief! Here we go again. Sorry, if it's family or friends who have passed, Okay, I'm getting told a boss. BOSS. All right, I don't know who that relates to, but I got the words out of my mouth. All right, you gonna leave me alone now? Okay, thank you. Sorry. Anyway, no matter who it is, they retain the personality that they had in their physical form. And people should be aware of that. That came up in a conversation. She mentioned it tonight, but that came up in a conversation that I had with somebody in the last 36 hours. And I don't think a lot of people register that. I mean, they'll hear it, but I don't think it really gets to their...
So basically, and we've said this on the show a lot, and it gets a lot of grief because people understand that when a spirit dies, like you said, they retain everything. So,
yeah,
all the cases that we've been on in the past, you have to argue that, well, you need to call in a preacher. Why? What if that spirit was an atheist? They're going to laugh at you.
Yep.
And they're not going to leave. It's a demon. Well, and it just laughed because, well, it probably was a demon. It was just a pissed off spirit. And you call it a Catholic priest, and again, they might have been pagan. They're going to laugh because there is no power over them because it's a Catholic priest. It doesn't matter. Now, if it is a demon, which is 1 in 1,000 chances it is, but if it does happen to be that 1 in 1,000 chances it really is a demon, then it might actually react to a Catholic priest. But you don't know the history of what you're dealing with until you actually look into one location, the history of the location, the people that have died there, other disasters there. There's a whole, like you said, plethora of scenarios over a possible case. And that's where you can vet your psychic, is do the history of the location. Now, if Bob died there in an accident, and that's why I like psychics going in locations blind as well. They have to be blind. Not physically, but without knowing anything about the case, you put your psychic in. And if they come back and said, well, there's a guy here that is stuck here, and his name is Bob, that's one way you vet your psychic. If they come back with information that can be vetted, then that's a way you can test whether they're actually psychic and whether they're actually valid or not. Science and psychics, I believe they need to work in tandem. Again, you vet your equipment along with your psychic. And that's what made FMP, when we had our team going, work so well. Was we could actually vet our psychic even with the astral team. And we've proven that. Over 15 years, we proved it. So are psychics real? Hell yeah, they are. But not all of them.
Correct. Them are complete total frauds.
What's the frauds in both the paranormal field and the psychic field? And a lot of them work hand in hand. You have a psychic on a paranormal team that's a fraud on both fronts. And one way to see right from the beginning is if a paranormal team is actually charging for cases, I label them a fraud right from the beginning. But when you have a psychic that is giving $150 a minute, readings or things of that nature, so on that, some psychics do charge. So $20, $50 for a 30-minute reading, I see as reasonable. Depending.
Yeah.
But again, there's no reason you can't vet them. And if they get mad because you're vetting them, then they're just walk away because you'll find another one. But what are your thoughts on charging?
Wow. I have friends who do. I don't have a problem that they do because I know their skills are incredible. If it's $300 an hour, I might be going, hey, it's a different
Right.
stuff.
Hey, everybody's got to make a living.
Yeah,
Not
everybody's got to
not
make
at $300 an hour, they don't.
Even if somebody is really famous, even that, it's not realistic for the average person.
No.
Just because you've got the skills, then I should be charging more. Bull honking. No, not in my opinion.
And they're going to come back as a peasant in their next life with no skills.
Is that what messed me up?
Because I've seen people go from, they've got mad skills regarding being a psychic and a medium and a clairvoyant and blah, 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 blah. And they're charging astronomical rates. And I'm like, you got to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And you don't, at the same time, you don't want to be taken advantage of. Because, this is a very specific ability that you have, and it takes a heck of a lot in energy for you to do as a psychic, as an energy worker. It takes a heck of a lot out of you to do it. And I mean, there's some situations where I can see 300 an hour, but it's few and far between, man.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's situations where psychics charge for their help. And I specifically mean things like working with the police, working with, like what you're talking about, Eric, families of missing folks. Right. That's taking advantage. That is taking advantage. Nope.
Absolutely, and that's when you're taking advantage of somebody in crisis, which a family member that's missing, same thing, or emergency response of paranormal, which is what we did. Same thing. You're taking advantage of people in crisis. And on that, you've been on paranormal investigations, have you not?
I've been on a few, not many. I mean, paranormal investigations. I've been on a few. However, all my life, I can walk into a building and not experience anything on one specific day. The following day, I could walk back into that building and boom.
Mm-hmm.
What's your question?
So my leading question to that is when. So my other pet peeve is showboaters, and when is it too early, in your opinion, to try contacting someone that's passed over? So you have a natural disaster. Use the Oso landslide for an example, and no one's gone, and no one's gone there. But there are celebrities that, for example, that went to the Las Vegas shooting site a week after it happened and said, "Oh my God, yeah, I was communicating with everybody and getting all this information." I'm sorry, but I say give it at least a year, and it's still debatable if a year is even too long or too soon. What's your thoughts on that?
Ooh.
It depends on how traumatic the event was. If it was a major disaster area where thousands died, I say five, at least 5 years.
Yeah, like 9/11. Well, okay, here's the thing. You got another two sides of the coin situation going on.
Right.
One of them is if you're being contacted by somebody who is there and you're at home in a different state.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going there out of, oh my God, I got to do this and we're going to get all the information. Bull. That's crap in my book. If you're going there because you had one of those specific spirits come to you, one of those people who had died from that event, whatever the traumatic event was, different story in my opinion.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, that's very different.
If they reach out to you, that's,
going there to make a public
name for yourself.
Yeah, to promote your way. God, that's a horrible way to promote yourself. Horrible way to promote yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it really shows a person. Wow, it really shows what kind of a person they are too. Yeah, that's another one I get frustrated with. That's another pet peeve. No, I don't think that they should be doing it. Period. And if there were a way to excommunicate them out of the business, hell yeah, I'm all for that. I don't know how to do that, but, if there were a way to do it. But yeah, if you're being contacted or you're being drawn there, you're a psychic, you're a medium, whatever your ability, your gifts are in that way, and you are being drawn there, that means you're being led. You're being led there by one or numerous spirits. Different ballgame altogether.
And with that, I fully agree. But the ones that I think piss me off the most are the ones that run to the site and say, look what we're going to do. And, you've got some of them that...
Their crew behind them doing it. Ooh, that really...
No, what's your motivation? If it's because somebody contacted you, then by all means. If it's a family member that contacted you, by all means. But just going there blind, no.
Respect the people that are still alive's grieving process. Respect the people that are still alive's grieving process.
Exactly. Family members are still in mourning.
And even if you're being drawn there, that information that you receive from being on site and receiving however much information you receive, it's gonna re-traumatize the loved ones who are physically alive.
Yep.
And so here you have this information, then what do you do with the information? Those are the kinds of questions that I ask. Yeah. If I'm supposed to be led somewhere and I have been led somewhere where I didn't know that something bad had happened there. I'm just being drawn to a specific spot, and I know it's psychic intuition, but I don't know exactly what it is, and typically I won't know until I start getting closer and closer to the location.
Right.
But even, what do you do with that information? How long do you wait on that information to give to family members? And who do you give that information to if there is like a coordinator, the coordinator of, of the families, because in tragic events like that, they typically have some kind of coordinator who is managing certain aspects of the situation.
So in that case, wouldn't it depend on the type of information that you're getting? Okay, so if somebody led you there for, let's say they tell you where their hidden will was, then obviously that's something that's prudent that should be probably brought up quickly.
Yeah.
Where if it's something like...
Your family heirloom is hidden in the attic. It's personal in nature.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's just generalized information or something of that, well, I've heard from a lot of people that when people first cross over, they're not even aware that they're crossed over yet. Like they're not so sure. So some of them could even be in the mindset that they're still alive at that point, especially depending on how traumatic the event was.
It depends on the person who died, too, and depends on how they died.
Right.
Some people know. I mean, my friend he knew right away. Right away. Oh, my God. He came to me like within less than an hour after it had happened, and I was, all right, quit being a smart ass up there, would you? I just got specifically to say, you got blown away. I'm like, oh, smart ass. Retired military. Anyway.
Of course, they're the worst.
Anyhow, yeah, it depends on the person. Completely depends on the person and how they died. But yeah, I completely agree with you.
Okay, so you've been working as a psychic for probably a good 20, 30 years?
Been psychic all my life.
Right.
But it kind of really hit around 17. I mean, full force, the whole, when I was astral traveling, I think is when it really became much, much more predominant.
Okay. So have you ever been contacted, this is going to sound crazy, but have you ever been contacted by Bigfoot?
Yes.
And then how would that go?
How did it go?
Yeah. What did you learn from Bigfoot contacting you?
Oh, you're going to laugh at this one.
No, I'm seriously intrigued. I'm seriously wanting to know.
I recently was informed, and I mean like within the last 3 weeks, that I can't even believe I'm doing this out. I'm having a hard time with this. Okay. That I am the chosen one for their mouthpiece. And I'm like, why? Are you blanking kidding me? Why? Anyway, and it's because, do I say her name?
Just say it. What's up?
In August of last year. Well, actually, before that, I just didn't know it was Sasquatch. For years, I contacted Sasquatch, didn't even frickin' know it. Always knew, I picked up different things. You know, to me it was gut instinct. I was always picking things up whenever I would drive by very specific tours and locations. And on my way to camping or traveling somewhere, and just didn't recognize what I was picking up on was Sasquatch. That's happened all my life. And it's only been this last year that I have understood that. Back in November, I believe it was, of 2017? No, wait a minute. 2018. 2019. Yes, that's correct. Back in, I think I just said November, correct? Anyway, I was traveling to, oh my God.
Huh?
I was traveling to Port Townsend. There we go. November of 2018. Traveling to Port Townsend to go to an event put on by Olympic MUFON. And was driving towards Port Hadlock. I never remember the name of that town, so I had to write it down.
Oh, was that the Port Gamble UFO conference?
No, it was the Port Townsend MUFON with the guest speaker was Susie Hansen. She was
that one out, because S4 is going to be going to more paranormal events just to have a booth there. So yes, I know about the Port Gamble conferences, but the more other conferences I hear about, I'd like to know more about.
Okay, good to know. If I come across stuff, I'll send it your way.
Excellent.
So Susie Hansen was, I can't remember if she was from New Zealand or Australia. And I'm not getting any hits on being corrected, so bugger.
Right.
Okay. So she was there, and she was speaking about her alien abductions.
Mm-hmm.
And this was her last visit to the States for a while. And so the Port Townsend MUFON, which is classified as Washington's Olympic MUFON, I think is how it was classified as. Okay, and so as we were driving, my spouse was driving, my son was in the back seat, and he decided, because the guys were dropping me off at this event, that they were going to go and look around Port Townsend for the day, spend some father-son time. And I remembered coming towards this curve in the road, hadn't even remotely come to it yet, and I'm hearing in my head, hello, and a number of other things, and I'm like, I'm turning around looking at my son. My son is 26 at that time, and looking at him and going, did you hear that? And I'm looking back at my spouse going, did you hear that? And they're like, what are you talking about? Because it sounded like somebody was in the car with us that had said hello. And there were a number of other things that were said that I unfortunately did not write down.
Mm-hmm.
And it came to me like spirit comes to me, which is, I was like, who the hell's in the car with us? Where are they? I'm not seeing them, I'm not feeling them, but I'm getting this wonky sensation in my gut. And basically the short synopsis is that when we start coming closer to not the left side of the road, there was a huge clearing in the forest. Okay, and as we were getting closer to that, I'm asking in my head, who are you? Where are you? And the next thing I hear, very quietly, we're over here, look. And as we're driving by was when I get told to look. And here's this great big clearing before the curve in the road, just before you get to Port Townsend, Port Hadlock. And I'm looking at this clearing, and I'm being told, we are all here watching you. We know you've been coming. I'm like, excuse me? I'm going, you what?
No, that's cool. And
then they're behind the trees of the clearing. You can't see us, but we're watching you. Mm-hmm. We have felt you coming for days. It's nice to see you. And my eyes are huge as saucers, and I can't crane my neck fast enough and hard enough to keep my eye on that clearing and that set of trees. I thought I was going nuts. I literally thought I was losing my mind. By the time we got into Port Townsend and the guys dropped me off, I saw two team members sitting near the entrance of the building, inside the building, and I looked at them, and they had been talking to somebody else, and I was just dumbstruck. And I looked at them and I said, "Excuse me for interrupting, but did either of you feel anything on the way here between?" And I actually had to write the word hadlock down because I could not, and I don't know what there is about that word. I cannot seem to remember it. Mm-hmm. But before you hit Port Hadlock and the curve, and one of my teammates looked at me and he goes, "Oh, you're one of us." Yeah. And I just went, "You got to tell me what you know and what you felt, please." He goes, "Family is Sasquatch." I went, "Oh my God." And I put my arms up in the air and I just went, "Oh my God." And I looked at him and I said, "I thought I was losing my mind." He goes, "Oh no, you're just one of us." And I went, "Oh my God." That was when it really hit. So that was November of 2018. Since then, oh my God, going down and coming back from Ocean Shores, the Paracon down there, mm-hmm. In March, beginning of March of 2019. And then there was a trip that my spouse and I went on, and for the life of me, I can't remember where at the moment, but we were in Oregon. And nothing going down. Coming back, completely different story. I now know where numerous clans of Sasquatch are. And one set, and I'm just going through this, coming back, and I'm like, I'm losing my mind. This isn't real. Oh my God, it's not real.
You need to come up to Concrete and see if you can establish contact with the clans up here.
I already have.
Finney Creek?
They're that want me to be.
Finney Creek?
Yeah, no, because I know we have a Bigfoot behind the house that lives in the woods that watches over the property.
Mount Baker. Yeah. I'm up at Mount Baker in August of last year. Before 2 to 3 weeks before that, I get a psychic hit that one half of our team is going to be at Baker that time, and the other half was going to be at Mount Adams. Mm-hmm. And I get a psychic hit that 1 or 2 or possibly 3 of my teammates are going to be alien abducted. Boy, did it piss me off.
Yeah, and that was the ones that were at Mount Adams.
Ooh, it was up at Baker.
Oh, was it? Okay, yeah. I know when we had Michael on the show, he was talking about his experiences at Adams as well.
Oh, they've got a lot of experiences at Mount Adams.
Yeah.
And basically, I let out, which I didn't even know I could do. When I got the psychic hit about the alien abduction, I let out I guess I would call it, for lack of better words, a psychic scream. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how much energy I put out with it. I got a response back, long distance response back from Sasquatch in Mount Baker area. Mm-hmm. Freaked me out. I immediately, within seconds, I got a response. And I got told, you and your clan, your people will be safe. We will make sure of it.
See, later. So you have two sides of the coin with Bigfoot and alien abduction, or aliens in general. You've got cases that come out where Bigfoot comes out of a spaceship collects samples of water and soil, gets back on the craft and leaves. You've got the other side of the coin where people have seen Bigfoot running from UFO sightings in the sky. So I firmly believe that Bigfoot gets abducted as well, because they go right along with the the theories that abductions happen over DNA. Why wouldn't they take Bigfoot as well over DNA samples?
Yeah. Well, I'm not exactly 100% sure on this yet.
Right.
It's not a psychic thing yet. It's a gut feeling. I can't quite classify it as psychic yet. But my gut feeling is that somehow they are part of, I was just going to say, the alien experience. That is not my phrasing. Wow. Okay. But somehow they're part of certain alien species. I don't know what to call them.
So that would be a Aurora.
But get this. What I do know, they have a matriarch system. Okay? Female system, hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And you don't frickin' mess with it. Oh my God. They are excessively powerful psychically and not just physically. We are talking, you don't want to make them an enemy in any way, shape, or form. Yes, they can do damage physically. So what? What they could do with the mind blew me out of the water in August. Okay? Mm-hmm. Freaked me the blank out. I had conversations with the matriarch head of the big clan, and it's a big clan from what the impressions that I got from her. I ended up talking with 3 Sasquatch that weekend that I was there. Okay? There's a matriarch, there's her one below her, which was a female, and the one below her was a male. And
that's the Baker group?
Yeah, that's up by Karen's.
Where?
That's up beyond Karen's, but it's up by Karen's.
Yeah, okay, up a glacier.
Glacier.
Yeah.
Glacier, yes. They specifically told me that they were watching us. They knew each one of our vehicles. They knew who we are by sensing us. Right. So they knew when we were coming. So they were, I want to say, on the road, basically with us, but they weren't, physically on the road. No. They were watching us to make sure that every one of us got there safely. I flipped me out. I kid you not. I could not believe this weekend. The amount of power they have lifting things. Oh my God, Eric, where do I even begin? The powerhouse that they've got. I mean, formidable is the word that keeps popping into my head. They would make extremely formidable enemies.
Oh yeah, I have no doubt. I have no doubt about that. So they have telekinetic abilities, essentially.
So
yes.
PBR has a question. Have you ever talked with an alien?
Yes. I've even been on a ship.
So you are an abductee?
Or an experiencer.
Yeah.
I prefer the word experiencer because when and it's going, it continuing. It's really pissed me off. Okay, what I'm going to tell you about Sasquatch and alien, which is what I was trying to get to, but I lost it before, is that the Baker Sasquatch. Oh, and there's 5 clans between Linwood and the Baker Sasquatch, okay? Just an FYI. There's probably more than that, but there's 5 that I know of. Okay, that said, Sasquatch does not like a specific alien, does not like our government regarding the spacecraft that they have created. Ooh, that pisses them off big time. Big time. Wow, did that come through loud and clear? Matter of fact, I actually had to ask her to, and I call, she's requested that I call her mama. I don't know why. I mean, I can guess why. Logically, I can guess why, but I think there's a specific. I had to ask her to decrease, and she didn't understand. The communication got kind of wonky. And it took her second in command to explain to her what I was trying to get across to her. They had a physical hold on me, okay? She affected my body in such a way I've never been affected before. Scared the crap out of me. I'm like, honey, you're going to kill me. If you keep this up, I will not be able to breathe. You need to stop. No, I was not having a medical crisis.
Right.
Because that was the first thing I was asking myself. Oh my God, are you having a medical crisis? Are you in crisis here? Do we need to turn around and go to the hospital? And I instantly got told no, and it was her voice, and I relaxed, but my body was still reacting to her, and I was, wow, okay. So internally, I've relaxed from the fright of medical crisis, thinking I'm in a medical crisis, and yet I'm still under her control. I could move my arms and legs and neck, but she was controlling certain things. Okay. And I had to tell her, you've got to lighten up on your energy or you will literally kill me. And it took a few minutes, took about 10, 12 minutes before it finally got the understanding that, oh, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. And after that, it was smooth sailing with the communication.
Right.
Like, okay. Yeah, so we never want to.
We're coming down to the last 9 minutes of the show. If anyone wants to get a hold of you, do you have a website or do you have contact information?
I'm on Facebook. You can contact me on Facebook. Nikki, Nikki, parentheses, Nicole, Nicole, Jacobs, Jacobs. That's on Facebook. And if I remember correctly, it's Nikki.Jacobs.376, I think is what the numbers are that Facebook uses.
You need to make a website.
I don't have a website, but I have an email that they can contact me at, theeclecticangel@yahoo.com. It's The Eclectic Angel, all one word.
Okay.
So that's how you can contact me, or you can contact me via UFO I-Team on Facebook as well, or at the UFOIteam.com.
Okay, excellent. So, thank you, Nikki, for coming on the show tonight. Next week,
Thank
we're
you.
going to talk about winged creatures. And I think we're going to make it winged cryptids, but specifically the ones seen in Chicago of late.
Thunderbirds.
So I'm going to try, and I can't promise anything. It's up to him. I'm going to try to get Butch Wachowski on the show for next week to talk about, it might go to cryptids in general, but specifically winged creatures.
We'll see if he's feeling well enough.
Say again?
See if he's feeling well enough.
Oh, yeah. And for locals that are listening live or that will be listening on archive, don't forget the 19th, it's a Sunday, at 4 p.m. at the Concrete Community Center. We will be having a community meeting. and we'll talk about the Community Emergency Response Team, CERT, Red Cross, other community issues going on, especially with Neighborhood Block Watch and crime and whatnot. What else was I going to say? I think that's pretty much it. So again, Dawn, you still with us? Dawn.
Yeah, I'm still with you guys.
Okay, there you are. You have been so quiet tonight. So did you learn a lot about psychics tonight?
Yes, I did actually. It was a really good show.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Now on that note, again, thank you, Nikki, for being on the show tonight. Dawn, as usual. And thank you to our listeners for being here. And don't forget, February, we're moving to Sundays, 7 to 10 p.m. So on that note, y'all stay safe out there. What?
Thank God.
Yeah, it'll be a much earlier show. We can get sleep. Anyway, y'all have a great week and stay safe out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.